All right. We're live. Okay, I'm going to call to order the Raymore Park Board meeting for Tuesday, May 23rd, 2017. I need roll call.
Member Castleman,
Present.
Member Cipolla,
Present.
Member Eastwood,
Present.
Member Harris,
Present.
Member Heath,
Present.
Member Howdy Show,
Present.
Member Seamers,
Present.
Member Troutman,
Present.
and Chairman Manson.
Present. All rise for Pledge of Allegiance. All right, we don't have any personal appearances tonight, apparently. Move for acceptance of the minutes for the April 25th, 2017 meeting.
I move we accept the minutes from the April 25th, 2017 meeting.
Second.
All right, it's been seconded. Any amendments or discussions regarding those minutes? All right, since there are none, all those in favor, acceptance? Unanimous, thank you. Committee reports. Apparently, we did not have a meeting on the budget, recreational grounds previous month. I'll move on to staff reports then. Director Mustine.
Thank you, sir. I will call on Recreation Superintendent McLean to do a recreation report.
Thank you, sir. I have submitted a written report in the packet. I would like to highlight a few things. I'll try to keep it as short as possible, but there is a lot going on, so I want to hit on some of these major ones. So mainly in administrative operations, we're starting to gather up all of our belongings and things to get ready to move into our new Centerview facility. So we're getting ready to move our administrative offices and operations to that facility, so we're starting working on that. We've been working on year-end projections for the FY17, and then of course starting preparations for fiscal year 18. Athletic Coordinator Hedrick met with Challenger Sports this month to discuss our clinic, Raymore United Clinic, the tryouts, and then fall training opportunities. So wanted to highlight that. He also held baseball and softball umpire meetings, because later on we'll highlight why. Coordinator Keith attended a meeting with Belton, Harrisonville, Pleasant Hill day camp administrators. This meeting was more so headed up by Belton, just in lieu of trying to get out and get some competition, I think, going, and some fun competition between the summer camps. So they are looking into possibly holding a field day or a summer camp Olympics competition amongst those 4 cities. And so they're still working on that possibility. I believe in years past, Belton and Raymore did have something to that nature. Director Mustine might be able to elaborate on that one. It was before my time, but also this week, every evening this week, Coordinator Keith is working with the counselors, because next Tuesday we start summer camp. So they're preparing the house, they're getting everything ready to go. Want to skip on down to rentals and events. I just want to highlight that the weekend of May 5th, the Grand Slam baseball tournament that we hosted, it was one of the biggest ones we've hosted. It was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday tournament, 24 teams. I also want to thank the maintenance staff that worked that event, because we had a lot of compliments on the fields, how they looked, how they played, everything. So kudos to Steve's crew for everything that they did. I worked with Raymore Peculiar Public School Foundation in hosting the Mad Dash 5K at Rec Park on May 5th. This year was the second year that we partnered with them. They used to hold it at the track at the high school. This year was one of their largest attendance 160 participants with close to 200 people at the event. So it was a very good event. I also want to thank PD for providing officers at the roundabout to help traffic control, because we crossed there. And then also, I want to highlight that Farmers Market starts June 6th. We have the Fishing Derby on June 3rd at Hawk Ridge, the annual Fishing Derby. We have Movie Night, The Sandlot, at Memorial Park on Field 2 at the end of this next month, June 23rd. And then, as I stated earlier, Coordinator Hedrick was holding umpire officials meetings, and we started all of our recreation baseball and softball games this week. So at that will conclude staff report. I will be glad to entertain any questions at this time.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Director Mustine.
Thank you, sir. I'll call on Superintendent Rulo for a Parks report.
Thank you. I've submitted a written report, but wanted to hit on a few key things that park staff has been doing. Last week, the park staff members went down and cut up some of the asphalt in front of the baseball complex and installed some concrete to where we can install fold-down bollards to keep cars from driving up the main gate of baseball to alligator the rest of the asphalt that's on the way up there. So hopefully by the end of this weekend, or by the end of this week, the concrete will be cured enough to where we can actually install those and start using them. And also wanted to let you all know that it's been about 4 weeks since the shade structures have been completed. As you all know, we've had several high winds, nasty storms in that 4-week period. The shade structures have done very well. Went through today, made up a punch list, a very short punch list, and have sent them to the contractor. And when those are completed, we will move ahead forward to final payment. With that, I will entertain any questions.
Any questions for Superintendent Laurel? All right. Thank you, sir. Director Mustine.
Thanks, sir. Just a couple quick things. Last night at City Council, the council had first reading of Bill 3268, which is a change of code in Chapter 250. That is specifically the Parks and Recreation Rules and Regulations chapter. What this code change was something that we had talked about in work session previously. It was a change of language for the alcohol in the park, and what this does is it gives the ability for me specifically, or the director position, to authorize any rental agreements at Centerview for alcoholic beverages, for wine tastings, weddings, things of that nature, instead of how the previous code read, which was a resolution of the council per event. So with the policy that we will be discussing later this evening, that policy will dictate how that change of code will function. But last night was the first read of that, and it did pass unanimously through the council. Speaking of Centerview, just a couple things as we move forward. It's going to be a busy 3 or 4 weeks for staff. The week of June 5th, we begin just moving from the Public Works Operations Facility into Centerview. It's a week-long process that we will move through. Greta, for the most part, will stay at Public Works Operations through that week, maintaining the operating hours at that facility, while the rest of us are moving in, moving furniture, things like that. We go fully operational, where our permanent home will be at Centerview on June 12th. So at that point, Monday morning at 8 o'clock on June 12th, the Parks and Rec offices will be officially and permanently moved into the Centerview facility. So that'll be an exciting day. And finally, I passed out a postcard to you. Many folks in the community will be getting them. It's on our website and on our Facebook page, and you'll see that kind of ramp up over the next several weeks in a marketing effort from the communications department. But the grand opening and ribbon cutting ceremony of Centerview will be Friday, June 16th from 3 to 6 p.m. everybody is invited. The more people that we have there, the better. We want people to come in, see the facility, enjoy it. We'll have all different kinds of events and activities, a small symphony there, wine tasting, cheese, all the good stuff. So everybody's invited. Please plan to attend. In addition to that, we will, during that ceremony, the tree board will also host the Arbor Day event. Why that's significant for this particular day is one of the larger trees that we selected, Steve and I selected in the landscape plan at Centerview, has been dedicated by the tree board as the Arbor Day tree for this year. And with that, it's also being dedicated in honor of Miss Charlene Hubach's service to the city and the community, one of the founding members of the park board, all of those things, just her history within the city. So we want to make sure that one of those prominent living features at Centerview is dedicated in her honor. So we'll do a short, quick photo op there, and later this month we'll do a proclamation for Arbor Day with the city council. And with that, concludes staff report.
Any questions for the director? Michelle?
On your move, are you all packing everything up and moving, or is the company coming in?
For the most part, the furniture is new, being it was purchased and will be delivered and installed. There are some furniture that, and just in efforts because it's not that old, what we currently use, there will be some furniture being moved, specifically Jerry Lynn's desk, Mr. Hedrick's furniture, it'll be moved over. Some of the other stuff is, frankly, it's a little bit big for the office space, and so we did have to purchase some different furniture. And so it'll be a little bit mix of both, but the day-to-day stuff, our files, our supplies, all of those things, I'm going to twist Mr. Rouleau's arm and have some of his grunt labor help us out a little bit that week.
Because that's a huge cost savings.
Yes, yeah, it saved us several $1,000s by doing, using some of the furniture that we have. And the furniture that we wasn't able to fit at Centerview, we will store it and save it for furniture at the rack to see if we can make that work and save some of that too. It's just, there's nothing wrong with it. It's fairly new, and so we want to try to use it if we can.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, sir. All right, moving on, we have no old business. On to new business. Item B, we don't have an A. All right, item B. All right, this will be a Centerview policy. This is an action item. I need staff report on that.
Yeah, we'll get right to B. So on May, you got me all beat up here. In May, we had a work session and we reviewed the Centerview policy, a draft of that policy. I believe it was May 9th that we held that work session. At that time, staff presented a draft policy on how rentals and procedures will function at Centerview. This particular policy will guide my staff internally on how we rent, how we do deposits, the pricing scale, all of those things. It will also dictate what is allowed in the facility, what is not allowed. And we took several comments. I know at that particular meeting, the members of the Art Commission stayed after a joint work session. They stayed and gave some comments that was very valuable, and we appreciated that. We took all of those comments. We've updated this form, and we are bringing this back. As previously mentioned in my staff report, this form also accounts for the code, the language change in the code that I mentioned was first read of council last night. This will trigger anytime an alcohol permit is applied for use at Centerview, my signature, the director of Parks and Recreation, will have to authorize that, verifying that all licenses, all of those things are met, all the requirements from city, state, and county are met before that can occur. So with that, this is the policy based on your recommendation and the changes that you recommended on May 9th, and staff recommends approval of the policy.
Any questions? All right, if that's the case, at this time, I'd entertain a motion. Anybody?
I move we accept the Centerview rental policy as presented.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded to accept the Centerview policy as presented by the director. Any discussion? Yes, Brian?
I have a question. So, this last weekend was graduation, right? Lots of grad parties. Centerview was about 4 weeks too late. Here's my question. You can rent as early, you can reserve as early as 18 months out. I don't know when the school calendar comes out, so I don't know if it's after that or not. I don't know if it's out in time, but here's the scenario. Let's say it's not. Somebody wants to reserve this for graduation, but you don't know which weekend it is, right? So you just go and reserve 3 weekends in a row, assuming it's middle of May, right? Are those considered recurring? They're not? Oh, so they just put their 100 down or 150 or whatever it is for all 3? And then they just cancel the next 2 and they get the one they want, right? Okay,
Currently, the way that policy reads.
okay.
We did discuss that during the work session. We did not change that because at the time, it is at staff's discretion whether we want to do that or not. And that may be something that we bring back to the board to make a change in the policy that we want to limit the ability to do that. But right now, with a brand new facility, not having any history of rentals, we didn't want to limit anything until we're fully functional, and it's basically hard to get. We may come back and reevaluate that.
Okay.
Reoccurring would be within the application. It is a scenario of every third Monday of the month. That would be a reoccurring, and what would happen is the full rental of each night would happen, but the deposit would only be 30% of all of the rentals instead of a deposit per rental. And that was one of the changes we did make.
Okay.
Melinda?
Just to clarify that then, that would be 3 separate deposits though, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But you get the full deposit back if you cancel more than 60 days in advance?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, motion's before the board. At this time, since there's no further questions or discussion, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor of approving the policy? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Item C. This is the schedule of fees for the Centerview building itself. This is also an action item. Director Mustine, staff report.
Thank you, sir. One quick point of note. This is the schedule of fee for the entire department's schedule of fees.
I apologize.
This will now include Centerview based on the last agenda item's approval. So what this schedule of fee is includes those figures that we looked at previously. I believe it was in February or March. It was recent, early this year, that we looked at those, knowing that we would come back once this policy for Centerview has been finalized. Now that you have done that, what will happen is we will submit this document to the finance director upon your approval. That will also include the prices that are enlisted in the policy for Centerview, and she will create that document, put them into the upcoming budget, and that will go before council approval in August. So this particular schedule of fees includes everything that we had last year, which we made no changes on, and the schedule of fees, which for the rental of Centerview.
And I apologize for that. It should have been for all of them.
That's okay. That concludes staff report.
All right, any questions for the director? All right, at this time, I entertain a motion.
I move we accept the schedule of fees, including the new fees associated with Centerview and also the name change of the East Shelter to the Moon Valley Shelter.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and second. Any discussion? All right. Since there's no discussion, I'll ask for a vote at this time. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Hear that snap?
All right, item D on the agenda. This is the CIP recommendation. This is the 5-year capital improvement plan. This is an action item. The staff report.
Thank you, sir. On March 14th, we had a work session in which staff presented the CIP plan. This is the capital improvement plan. It's based on the upcoming 5 years. What we did was we reviewed what we had last year. The finance director was here to answer any questions. The board did make some recommendations and made some changes to that. The attached document reflects those changes. What you have before you tonight is what you basically approved and gave the nod of approval for on March 14th to bring back to you for official recommendation. What occurs at this point is once this is approved, it goes into the finance department's budget book for city council review in August. The city manager will see it during our meetings in June, and once that's done, upon a council approval in August, it will go before the council for official passage in October. So before you tonight is the changes that you've made, the capital improvement plans that you have looked at, and staff recommends approval.
Any questions for the director? All right, since there are none, I'll entertain a motion on this action item.
I move we approve the capital improvement program plan from fiscal year 18 through fiscal year 22.
Second. All right, motion's been made and second. Any discussion? All right, as there are none, or is none, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, item E on the agenda is Public Art Memorandum of Understanding and MOU with the art. This will be an action item. Director Mustine, staff report.
Thank you, sir. On May 9th, the Park Board and the Arts Commission held a somewhat of a joint work session to take a view at the draft document that coordinates how the Parks Department and the Arts Commission will function in terms of public art. This document's called the Public Art Memorandum of Understanding. In reviewing this document, it was drafted by the city attorney. On May 9th, we went line by line, basically, and had any question and answers that you might have for staff or of each individual board. There were some minor changes to that draft document. We have made those changes, and it is before you tonight. One thing to note, that this particular document, per your request, the language for review and renewal mimics the City Council Park Board MOU, so that it does automatically renew with a review every 2 years. So we will bring this back in 2019 for review, and as long as there's no changes, it will automatically renew with no need for any signature or anything of that nature. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the director? As there are none, I'll entertain a motion.
Bill, I have a question.
All right, pardon me, Sheldon.
Nathan, the funding between the Arts Commission and the Park Board, is that still going to remain separate?
Yes, sir. The funding for the public art is a direct line from the City Council.
Okay.
Any other questions? I apologize, Sheldon, I didn't see you. All right, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I move that we accept the memorandum of understanding as presented.
The Public Art Memorandum of Understanding.
Yes, public art memorandum of understanding. Thank you.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Motion's been made and second for the acceptance of the Public Art Memorandum of Understanding. Any discussion? As there is none, I'll ask for a vote at this time. All those in favor of accepting it? Any opposed? All right, I have 8 for and 1 opposed. It passes. All right, we don't have any public comments tonight. Board member comment. I'll start with Brian.
Let me start off by saying I do not oppose the MOU whatsoever. I oppose the language in the MOU, and seeing that it doesn't match with the City Council Park Board MOU, that will be coming up next time that comes up for review. I don't want to automatically renew. That's just my deal. That's my thing. So if any of the Arts Commission people are watching, I apologize. It's just a tick, I guess I have. There was something else I was going to mention, but I forgot. Oh, last night, rec baseball startup. I guess still comp ball still playing, so I was out there. Not only did the shade structures provide shade, there wasn't any sun last night, so it didn't really matter, but there's a small amount of rain protection we discovered last night. Not enough for everybody to huddle up underneath. It is still pretty high, so there are a lot of umbrellas, but it does also have that nice little effect for us. Fields look great. It was nice to get out again, although my thighs hurt. It's the first time I've done the plate this year, so I'm a little bit of bad shape. But for everybody else, keep up the great work. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Jenny. All right. Steve.
I really didn't need to know about Brian's thighs hurting, but I will say the parks are in incredible shape considering the rain, the wind, all the elements. The parks look great, and thanks to Steve and his group of keeping it together, it looks in great shape, so thank you.
Sheldon.
Nothing tonight.
All right, thank you, sir. Melinda.
Well, I ran into Jerry Lynn today at Walmart, and I just want to tell her thank you for all she's doing, because I was noticing all the stuff that she's having to purchase for the camp that's coming up, and I know there's a lot that goes into that, and she was telling me just why we're standing in line talking and all the hours that she's having to put in. So, Jerry Lynn, thank you for all that you're doing for that, because I know there's a lot, and I know there's other people that, are working towards that. So anyway, I know that's a lot of work, then a lot of time that goes in there. So thanks for that. And also, Steve, yes, everything's looking great, and spring's such a fun time. So that's all I have, though.
Thank you. Michelle.
I've been walking a lot since my condition right now, trying to get back in shape and everything, and the trails look good. I love how the natural flowers and the natural grasses, people are finally starting to understand not to mow it all down and make it look so, uniform. It's pretty, it's natural, it's supposed to be that way. So, thank you.
Eric.
I don't have anything tonight.
Jim.
Quick comment on how great the soccer fields look. They're just really have come a long way from a few years ago. So we just wrapped up spring soccer and flag football. Really nice. Heard a lot of compliments on the conditions of the field. That's good to hear. So keep up the good work.
And I'll just add to that, I want to thank Superintendent McLean for his good work in the programs, and Superintendent Rulo with the excellent watering job he's been doing on the grass. Or was that Mother Nature? And of course, our director is always doing a superb job, and the staff and the members of the department. With that being the last comment, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion been made and second to adjourn. All those in favor? This meeting's formally adjourned.